Yeah, and just slowly build the brand and to where we are today. So it's along the way. Nathan here, he was in retail for over 20 years, I think 22 years, I think. So yep. Nathan was the product buying manager at Mo Tackle at Coffs Harbour, and we just kicked it off. We used to have beers after work, and then lo and behold, I don't know, probably 5 years ago, he said, "I'm pretty keen to leave." I'm like, so he's like, "You want to move down to, we live on the Central Coast?"
Yeah, down at Terrigal.
Down at Terrigal, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm coming down." And then I come back up here, my family, I grew up on the Gold Coast, come up for a holiday, and phoned him up and said, "Mate, what do you think about moving to the Gold Coast?" He goes, "No worries." So we all relocated up here, obviously brought the business up, and we just basically evolved into a lot of things. We started as a professional jigging company. That's what we sort of specialised in. That's what I did a lot of on Terrigal, New South Wales. And then over the time, we've just done more product like plastics, obviously carbon fibre. So we're a very sports fishing company, so it's generally high-end, middle to high-end as far as our rods go and our lures go. And then as we've grown, especially now, my young ones are getting a bit older. Now I'm introducing them to snapper fishing, for example. My social media is pretty much my kids now, not myself. And especially for snapper, you know. So we've been up here for 3 years now. And we've developed some bait fishing rods specifically for this area, and obviously North East Queensland as well for emperor and coral trout and stuff like that. But yeah, so today I just really wanted to talk about jigging. Three sort of techniques that I feel is probably how you catch most of your snapper. Obviously, number one for me would be jigging. I love it. I do a lot of it. It's very productive. Don't see a lot of people doing that here. I've seen a few boats doing it, but it's kind of that thing that you have to sort of leave everything at home and just take jigging outfits offshore to do. So our boat spin and overhead. So we designed basically a range of slow pitch rods, which is technically designed to work the lure. So probably a lot of you have done mechanical jigging. That was very popular 20 years ago. I know the 50s, I come up here on holidays and there was boats everywhere jigging for kings. But it's kind of changed. Obviously you have to be super fit. You normally drop down once or twice and you have to sit down, well, I used to anyway.
Yeah, definitely need a rest.
Definitely need a rest. But yeah, so when you get into more technical sort of stuff and you start to become, start to catch a lot of fish, the rod does a lot of the work. And we've designed a range of rods. This one is called our Vanquish slow pitch. And it's designed exactly to work a slow fall jig like this one. So this is our biggest selling slow fall jig. It's called a rib cage. So it's quite a unique shape on the back. But yeah, so it's just more technique. Obviously mechanical jigging is a lot of fast retrieves, constant fast drop down, trying to get that reaction bite. Where with when using slow fall, it's very slow, basically that. So it's not hard on the body. A lot of people still probably I see a lot of people buying a slow fall jig and still mechanical jigging it, which will catch kings and a random suicidal snapper on it. But really it comes down to letting the jig do its thing and letting the rod doing its thing. So normally jigging up, big, long, slow lifts, and then a super long lift at the end, and then letting your rod fall down and you watch that braid in the water. So you've got to let that jig fall down and do its thing to entice the bite. And then you'll see the line straighten straight away, and that's when you strike. We have them come pre-rigged with a stronger hook because we obviously sell them nationally. So we have like a little single hook. I don't know if we've got a single hook.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So because obviously people use them for kings, Western Australia, Northern Territory, and all that. You catch a lot of emperor and stuff like that. But in the local area, I definitely recommend upgrading the jig, the hooks on them. We use Decoy. Decoy is a Japanese brand, super thin, super strong, and we just retrofit basically our standard jigs that come pre-rigged with a strong hook, if you are chasing snapper especially. Some people run hooks on the bottom. I don't feel like you need too much on these smaller jigs. If you go to a medium jig, I would definitely recommend running hooks on the top and the bottom, because the fish are sort of the action itself on the jigs, they do flutter quite randomly. You need to use as many hooks as you can.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think is to be confident enough to let the line be loose enough for the lure to actually do what it's designed to do.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily need to keep that line tight and keep the contact. You'll actually see the strike with loose line.
Yeah, watching the line in the water is super important, which I don't think a lot of people do. They kind of just mechanical jig, you know. When I take out fishing, they kind of do it once or twice and they'll get back into mechanical jigging. So
Yeah, I'll often do it. I'll often do some slow burns, some slow jigs, and then do a mechanical style short jig, just to see if I get a reaction from fish, and then go back to let the lure do its work. And often find after doing a small erratic movement, then let the lure do its actual swim that it's designed to do, you get a bite on the drop then.
So, like, back a bit of history here, my partner Kate here, she used to take her jigging off Terrigal, and I used to just catch kings. I was obsessed with kingfish, and all I did is chase kingfish. And if I took out someone that had never been before, and they would start jigging, and generally not be so fluent at it, they would catch a snapper or someone. What did you do? And they're like, I don't know, but I used to just do random stuff to try and catch it. But it took years to sort of work out on how to catch snapper on jigs, you know. So it's definitely a technique to learn and to build up, but starting with the right rod and the right the lure, and especially upgrading the hooks to super thin, like double pitch like this is a great start. Most people, like everybody, obviously uses fluorocarbon. I actually don't like fluorocarbon for jigging. It's very hard. I don't feel like it ties a knot great to a solid ring. I use really high quality nylon leader, mono leader. For jigging, that goes for kings as well. I've tried it all. I just don't feel like it's as, you don't need to go to fluorocarbon for jigging. For plastics fishing, 100%. It's definitely a lot slower fall. Fish are sort of cruising in, looking at everything. But for jigging, I still use normal mono nylon leader, like a good shock leader. So it's still supple and soft to really make that lure work. Fluorocarbon can get quite stiff when you get up to the heavier kind of sizes. Typical rule, obviously lighter is always better, which is a standard rule for any type of fishing, and that goes with leader as well. So we generally start with 40 to 60 pound leader. Here you have a bit of a mixed bag, so obviously with kingfish and AJs, and you get some pretty good fish off the Gold Coast compared to where I used to fish a lot. So.
Yeah, I definitely still start with 40.
40,
I know last time we went out, 40 was fine for the kings and stuff like that.
And we caught kings.
You can be unlucky. Right.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, so that's a slow pitch rod. Yeah, as I said, it's a little bit technical, but you just want to, after the meeting, come and have a look at them. We can kind of explain why it's done, but it's all designed for different line ratings, for different depths, and obviously different jig weights. So depending on where you are fishing, current, it does vary. But always start with the lightest jig. Obviously make sure that your jig is vertical. Definitely does not work if your jig's out on a 45, that you don't get the action out of it. So generally, if there is a bit of current, you have to have a skipper or someone just holding the boat in reverse and just working that reef right up to the drop off onto the flat. So we're generally just filled up. So any questions about jigging?
When you're hitting the bottom, are you working just the first 5 metres, 10 metres? Or
I find that it's basically, use your sounder. Just use your sounder and work literally from the bottom of where you see the school up. And then go with the drift. Like you'll pull fish from that school with jigs. But yeah, not necessarily, don't necessarily have to wait for it. And that's what a lot of this stuff's all metered braid as well. You can count it down. So you see fish at 30 metres, you just count it down, and then it doesn't have to hit the bottom for jigging to start working.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's just obviously using your sounder when you first arrive to the area, seeing where the fish are sitting. Obviously tide change is a big thing on how high the fish are sitting. Obviously as you're pulling away from that tide change, generally fish tend to hug the bottom a little bit more. And obviously you can work that bottom area a little bit closer to the bottom in between that.
So would you usually cast the jig like up current to get it down, or would you just open the bail arm and let it sort of...
No, just open the bail arm. Little trick is to run the line through your fingers, so that stops the action of the lure. So if you just run the line through your fingers, it stops the lure being able to deviate to do its thing in action, and it will shoot down a lot faster. And then when you're at the bottom, obviously that's when you start doing your slow pitch jigging. And it's just like especially for the slow pull sort of style of jigs, you know, because the weight's in the centre generally with a slow pitch. So it's all designed to come up and obviously to waffle, not like a standard tail weight or a head weight jig for kings or AJs or everything you catch here. So yes.
Do you have UV on the jigs or any particular colours you prefer on the snapper?
Snapper, green and orange, 100%. Probably not our biggest selling. Blue, pink, silver and glowed, but especially up here, I think that we do like it's your UV green and a UV orange one, and they have got a little glow on the back of them, the silver stripes. If you're, I don't know if we've got a green one here, but yeah, but there's a full glow one. But yeah, they definitely I find reef fish like red fish like snapper, orange and green. I just it could be biased. You get a bit more with a colour like anybody does with any type of fishing, but yeah, I definitely. Probably green or orange as far as the colour goes for snapper, especially.
Sand on your float?
I don't run the sand on jigs.
Okay.
No, not on jigs. I've never have, to be honest. So maybe I should. You would know.
Should we, right? Should we?
So yeah, that's kind of slow pitch. As I said, you catch a lot of different fish. It's not just obviously snapper. I know this is snapper comfort. It's
awesome on pearlies.
Pearlies.
So good on pearlies.
Pearlies can be difficult to get away from them at times, especially when you're trying to target snapper. But yeah, no, pearlies are a good start to catch them. They're a lot easier to catch than snapper. They're definitely a lot smarter fish.
You can target them in a narrower section of the water column too.
Yeah, they definitely come in times of year. Like definitely now until July. Like I find. After that new moon, they're definitely a lot more proactive, and leading into the full moon, generally fish are like spawning and stuff like that. They tend to be pretty proactive. Full moon, definitely don't jig. That's my only advice. Don't jig on the full moon. I've tried a lot of times. You still catch them on bait, but I find that new moon, just after the new moon, and just before the full moon, or 3 days after the full moon, I find them to be more proactive to catch them on artificial baits rather than flow lining for on pillies or something like that. So that's kind of my slow pitch big jigging. So yeah, we do a pretty big range of jigs, but the ribcage jig is probably the one I would recommend. It's very easy to use. It's user friendly.
It's great for this area.
Great for this area. We do heavy ranges, so you do have to buy kind of at different ranges depending on current and obviously wind to see how fast you shoot.
So is the formula for depth in what size lure you actually use, or? Yeah,
so normally a rule of thumb is 100 grams per 50 metres is a rule for slope, is what I've always done, but obviously that can vary. Obviously we get quite aggressive currents, especially off the Gold Coast, that hooks in close. So generally as a rule, if we're fishing here, if we fish say the 50s and 85 to 100 metres here, we would probably start with a 60 to 80 gram jig, and then either go up or down if possible. So it's not a race. A lot of people still have the mindset of trying to get to the bottom really fast, but you're actually trying to do the opposite to that. It's the first drop obviously is a little bit slower, but once you're down there and once you're working the lure, it's as long as you can keep vertical. And as I said, generally you would have someone backing up, putting it back in neutral, backing up, back in neutral, and then working how many knots you are drifting, and then just trying to stay really vertical on that. And then the lighter you can fish and keep it vertical, like straight up and down, you'll be most successful. So you just got to adjust the weight. But yeah, 60 to 80 grams, and then obviously coming in shallower. I haven't done super shallow jigging here yet. It's really big. I've done it overseas, but it's probably something that I'll start to probably do a little bit more. As you get into sort of that 20 metres, 30 metres, obviously everything has to be pretty stealth. Turning your sounders off, drifting, doing longer drifts rather than just jigging out in the deep.
Yeah. It turns into a little bit more like plastic fishing, where you come right up over the top of where you're expecting to find fish and try not to disturb them early.
Full of pretty smart fish, I believe so.
Especially here, there's so many guys.
Have you tried using some of the bigger electrics and stuff now offshore versus that backing up type thing? Like would a decent electric motor hold into the current well enough?
Electric reels, you mean? Yeah, it's a game changer for plastic fishing. It's I think it should be illegal. It's from when we used to fish I was fortunate, like Port Stephens, I think it was kind of the start of plastics when we kind of got into it. All we did is float line, and plastics took off, like gold hit the country, and it was just like, we'd never caught so many fish. And then we'd normally pull up, do a drift, or fish like rock ledges, and you get a few on a drift, and as soon as we get one on a plastic now, like in my smaller boat, I'll spot lock straight away, or go up 20 metres and spot lock, and then work that area rather than just drifting, and it's 100% game changer.
So if you're spot locking, are you casting up current for it to get down?
Yeah.
To that?
Yeah, casting big long cast, so that's leading into sort of plastic fishing, like probably more so.
So with the slow pitch jigs,
Yep.
if you were using an electric to sort of match the current rather than that reversing
Yep.
up, would that?
Yeah, you
would that
kind of
work?
can't. No, it doesn't work in that scenario because you need to keep reversing up on the line, and
Yeah, go the other way.
you're still drifting. So it doesn't work for slow pitch jigging because you need to keep that vertical, and you're generally bouncing on that reef. Generally, it takes quite a side. Typical work the edge of a reef or that drop off of at the back. So generally, leading edge is always the best for stump fishing. Probably most people would understand that. Always, whatever way the current's coming, work that top side of the reef, and it's exactly the same for jigging. So you can work it, hit there, you can get a drift along the edge of the reef, and then always fish the back just in case, and then go up again, go up. And if you're in shallow water, go wide, do the drift again. If you're in deep, I don't think it makes a massive difference when you're in. Like if you're at the 36 or the 50 here, I don't think it's a massive thing. I think you've got enough depth under you to not squeeze the fish. So, yeah. Any more questions? No? Good? No worries. Plastics, obviously that's probably what down, well, I should say, not my way where I used to live, but this was a pretty big thing. So we were both Nathan and I were in the retail when plastics hit the market, and it was a pretty big game changer. Like people went from catching a few fish to massive fish, really old fish and big fish. So it's kind of, there was a while there we were extremely worried about snapper population. I'm sure we've given it a pretty good win. Especially down like Port Stephens way. There's a lot of marine parks in that area now, but there was a lot of big fish getting caught. Lots of evolved, like when we did braided fishing line back when braided line sort of come out, like a PE2 was roughly 20 pound in breaking strain when PE, well, not even that, like PE was like 17 pound, and we're like, this is just incredible. But now braid's just beyond thin, and we've just got to keep going with the trend, so keep fishing lighter. Where our company's lucky enough to distribute I believe is the best line in the world. It's manufactured by YGK Japan. They're the first people ever to develop braid. They had the first patent on it like 40 years ago or 30 years ago or something. And they made silk originally, and then it's transferred into fishing line. And line now, like as you go up in quality, you do get what you pay for when it comes to line. Like as you get thinner or higher quality in price, generally the line is longer lasting. So a cheap braid, while we're on the subject, a cheap braid, if you go in and you buy a spool of braid for $29.95, the fibre in that braid will generally last 6 months before it starts breaking down. So as you go up to your better quality braid, say you want to spend $100 on a really good quality Japanese braid, that's a 3-year fibre. So that line will not start breaking down until 3 years. And that's a pretty big thing when it comes to, because braid's expensive, so sometimes you're better off buying one good spool and running it for several years rather than replacing your line every year of a cheaper braid, I believe. And it's a lot thinner. Like now.
So this is P2 on this, and it's 40 pounds.
Yeah, 40 pounds. So that was 17 pound line when braid sort of come, and now P2 now is 40 pounds. 40. And there's actually, we have some in the series that's higher again, like 50 pound or 45 pound.
Yeah.
But no, probably no need to go to that. It gets to the point where it's too thin. I'm getting older now. I can't twice.
Still gonna be able to see it.
Yeah.
Cuts in your fingers.
Cuts in your fingers. Yeah, I always cut in my fingers. So. And then jumping onto leader material. So like I said before with slow pitch, I definitely fish nylon and mono for my slow pitch stuff. But jumping into this is fluorocarbon leader. Same thing, Japanese. Make sure you buy Japanese fluorocarbon. It's like It's where it all comes from. Everywhere else, fluorocarbon is manufactured. It's generally bought raw material from Japan, and they cut it down so it's not as clear, it's not as hard, definitely not as high in abrasion. So same thing again, like if you spend maybe $5 more or $10 more on a fluorocarbon litre, it can be the difference of landing a fish or not landing a fish. So especially with the cost of fuel at the moment. So, but on size wise, like we used to fish when fishing's super tough. I fish 16-pound fluorocarbon. I generally start with 20 pounds. 20 and then 24 pound is generally a step up in the Japanese. They make 20, 24, and 28 roughly. That's kind of the way the Japanese, they don't make it just breaking strains. They just develop it on diameter, and then whatever it breaks at, that's what they call it, rather than just saying, oh, it breaks at 30 pound if it's 28 pound as an example. So this is Old Tollis, which is, I probably should keep passing around. I'll just pass the leader around and the braid around so you can have a look at the packaging, just so you can kind of see the breaking strain and the diameter which you get. So rods, obviously this is where the company started. The carbon is crazy. It's the difference from when I started developing blanks to now is phenomenal. Like
Where do you feel the weight of this setup?
yeah, like this rod now. This rod would have been $1,000 rod back when I was in retail. Like and now the quality of carbon just keeps getting better. And I get to the point that I'm pretty much not going to have to develop another blank again. And then you go back and there's a new carbon fibre from Toray. Generally, probably 70% of our rods is from Toray carbon fibre out of Japan, and they just keep pushing the boundaries and keep pushing the boundaries. And a slow pitch rod there that's getting handed around now. Be careful those hooks; they're extremely sharp. A slow pitch rod like that. So we developed a rod in 2011, a slow pitch rod before it kind of took off here. And we could deadlift 7 kilos, and back then we were like, this is ridiculous. Like 7 kilos of deadlift, a thin rod was kind of unheard of. That plank there that you're holding now can deadlift 28 kilos. So that's the difference. It's probably 30% lighter in weight, and 4 times as strong as it was. And that's just not in a long time. Like our company's 15 years old this year. And it's a pretty big change in a short time. So we're a company, we always push the boundaries of using the latest carbon. So everything that we release is generally the latest that's available in raw material. But yeah, this series here, this is like super light. Obviously weight, you pay for weight. The lighter the rod, generally the more expensive it is. You cast it all day, you cast further with it. And a lot of people, there's a lot of rods on the market that are light, but they're not strong. So we obviously, strength is number one for us, and then making the rod as light as possible for obviously casting lighter jig heads and different stuff like that. Not right through to your flathead fishing, right up to barra fishing, to offshore fishing sort of stuff. So 40 pounds. Yeah, that's a typical outfit, like down New South Wales, we used to fish a little bit smaller and a little bit lighter. We fish shallower water, so we could. I find up the Gold Coast here, generally the 18s is kind of where I've been catching them to start with. Where, as you go down to New South Wales, you catch fish in 4 metres of water, and it's extremely pumpy. You need to fish extremely light to hook the fish because they're pretty smart. But up here, we've developed the same thing. We've developed more rods, heavy rods for this area, like this one. So still very light in weight, but obviously we're fishing deeper water off the Gold Coast, so you can catch fish in 36s right into the 18s on light snapper outfits sort of thing. So jig head size, same as jigs. Start as light as you can. You want that. Same people want it. Don't rush the plastic to the bottom. My biggest thing would be to, like in shallow water, we're fishing.
It's all about the drop.
It's all about the drop. So like if it's a super calm day, there's no current, like we start with like 1/8 of an ounce, like really light, and let that plastic fall down. Obviously casting ahead of your drift, and then go up every now and then until you make sure you're touching the bottom. Eventually after your long drift, and then just keep adjusting it. So quarter ounce is pretty good way to start, like off here in the 18s, and then jumping up to probably half ounce would be probably as heavy as I fish here, maybe about half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half. Yeah, half,
Yeah.
5'8".
5'8".
Yeah.
5'8". So yeah, same thing like that fish, like especially snapper, the same as the jigs. The snapper, most fish strike on the drop, so don't rush the bait to the bottom. Generally, it's a let it fall, keep letting line out, keep the line pointed to it, and just let it fall down and fish as well as possible. So same thing, buy a good quality jig head. You know, it's the same thing again. Thinner, so you hook the fish, and yeah, there's a lot of different things. I don't see properly. Gamakatsu is a great hook brand. And I fish with 2 fish that only gets a bit in the deeper water. They got very strong.
But yeah, the snapper will destroy a jig head
Yeah.
and a hook real quick.
Yeah.
Very often, you hook a snapper on a plastic, pull the jig head out, put it in.
Yeah, pull a new one out. And definitely retie
Very
too.
common. Yeah.
Definitely retie.
Don't often if you can be unlucky, they've obviously got sharp teeth at the front, but if they get one of those blunt teeth in the back, they'll knock that leader around, they'll put an indent in that. It's not super easy to see, it's not like it won't be frayed, but they'll have touched that and crushed the actual leader, just snip it off a couple of inches above your jig head, very tight.
A couple of plastics that we sell. So these are actually arrived on Tuesday, so they're pretty hot into the market. This is a pre-rigged, we call it Dr. Prawn. So this is another brand that we have. It's like a sub-brand under Samaki called Fishcraft. But I was off here on Monday catching snapper on these plastics. They come in rigged and unrigged. So obviously rigged, great if you're getting into it first time. Probably 4-inch for this area because they sink a little bit slower. And if you want to put your own jig head on it, I would recommend 5-inch. But yeah, there's a few of the prize packs that we're given. So whoever catches all the fish will obviously go away with some brand new plastics as well. So
Got a ribbon.
Any questions?
Flutters on the drum.
30 pound, 40 pound braid.
Yep.
How big is the spool and how much is it?
Yeah.
So that was a
upgrade.
that's upgrade. That's 300 meters and
$100.
99. Yeah. About 3 years. You have 3 years.
Yeah.
Without it.
Terrible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you can buy. That's right. You
It's
can buy a
thinner and
brand.
stronger, higher abrasion resistant, has a obviously with the higher material, like a lot of people put coatings on braids where if you buy the good raw material, it's already hard as well, so and that's one of the reasons it lasts so long. So that's I do a lot of barra fishing up in the dams and they run between the timber. We're fishing like P2, P3, and they're running through timber and you're coming back with massive barra. That doesn't break, it doesn't break fish. And so that's just to the whole yeah.
What are the specs on that?
This one? This is a heavier model, so this is a 7-foot spin extra heavy, rated 15 to 30 pound. I fish a lot of H's, our spin heavy, so that's one down from this, like our 10 to 20.
This is SMH.
And that's
I fish
SMH.
SMH a lot.
So 10 to 17 pounder SMH, so it's spin, SMH means spin medium heavy, and then we've got SH which is spin heavy, and then SXH is spin extra heavy. As you get more into it, fishing lighter, it's I fish a lot of SMH, and then SH. SH is a really cool rounder. You can catch a bit of everything on it too. And obviously if you hook a random Spanish mackerel.
Yeah.
At least it's not on.
It's not on, yeah.
Those, I've looked up, they're all 40 miles already going.
I looked up against it on.
No, it's PVC, so it won't fall.
That's just single.
Yeah.
It kind of helps alleviate that extra size of the jig head.
So we make a full range of like graphite rods. Even our entry level rod is very good. Like this rod now, this is our brand new Stitch X rod, full Japanese carbon fibre. It has Fuji guides on it. This rod, in my opinion, should be a lot more. but this is a starting price of us, and this is like under about $130 retail for this rod. As you go up is our Zing, which is a very famous series for us. It kind of gave us our name in camo. We were kind of the first to do camo back in 2009 in our market. So next level up in carbon fibre, one grade up, same quality componentry, and it's only around $150. And then as you go up, you'll see the grey one there that's getting
$250.
Yeah, it's like
It's over there
$250.
somewhere.
Which is, and then the C12, which is the light rod there, that's our premium range. So that's like 36 tonne with mixed 40 tonne carbon fibre, extremely light, cast further. When you work with plastics all day, you know,
What's the one with the tranks on it?
That's Vanquish.
Vanquish, yeah, slow pitch one, yeah, Vanquish, yeah.
Vanquish is on.
Yeah, any more questions there on plastics and fishing lights for them? Nothing? Float lining. So this was the same thing before plastics hit the market. This is all I used to do, is float line down at Port Stephens. Before we used to fish 10 kilo mono with bait runners, fiberglass rods. A lot's changed since then. Obviously rods are a lot wider, line is thinner. Moving back to the Gold Coast, my son's taken up fishing, so I've been doing a lot more float lining, and it's obviously extremely, you know, a very effective way to catch a feed, and catch snapper. So this is our brand new Vanquish series of reef rods. So our slow pitch rods is designed action-wise to basically work the lure, where this style of rod is designed to be super soft tip, obviously to feel that snapper bite. I fish a lot of circle hooks straight to a sinker, and then they tend to hook themselves when you fish the right rod. So it's a faster action rod, but it's got that softer tip on it. So this is pretty much, we do two models in it. We do a 6'6" and a 7-footer in it, both spin and overhead. I like fishing overhead in the deeper water. Just easier when you're pulling baits up. I feel like an overhead's a lot easier to crank up from deep if you're pulling up lots of times.
I feel like it has more control dropping the bait as well.
Yeah.
When you can literally disengage the spool, and for float lining, I find that it's easier to control the sink rate without having a spin reel open with a bail arm, and you're trying to let loose line off and you hook a fish, and it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
You've got to flicking a bail arm back over and it doesn't engage, and whereas overhead, it's nice and easy, done with a spool, back into gear.
Yeah, back into gear. And you can slow the drop too, like same thing again, if there's a lot of current, you can go up in your egg sinker, and you can obviously use the spool tension cap, so that bait is falling, same thing, as slow as possible, back down. So I do a lot of fishing on the 50s, I love it. It's my first point of call where I head. And yeah, same thing, just a slow fall, getting ahead of that reef, marking the fish first, and then working out how fast you're drifting. I fish mono, a lot of people fish braid. My son just got a new outfit, which I didn't bring tonight. So this rod is a little heavier. We made it extremely strong, really, for North Queensland as well. People, as you go further north, people are rougher on their gear. So this rod here is bulletproof. It can deadlift big fish in over the deck, which as you go further north of Townsville, that's pretty much what they do. But my son, he's only 11 years old, and it gets a little bit heavy for him. So last year we developed a range of rods, which is Sultan, which we actually a lot of prizes are here. So it's still a very strong rod. Like as an example, this rod can lift 32 kilos, so extremely strong on a deadlift. And a Sultan is around 22 kilos, so still incredibly strong for how light they are, but it would be around 30-40% lighter than this particular rod. So with my son also I have a smaller reel, so we can fish a smaller reel, and we put braid underneath, and then we top shot it with like 50 to 80 metres of mono on top. I like mono. I think it makes that pilchard form extremely natural. Been lucky enough to meet a few young old school guys here, and they've taken me out, and between us, we're, like I feel like, yeah, I've always been braid fishing, but for the float lining, I definitely prefer line. Yeah, it's quite a bit. So yeah. Any questions? No?
Question, and all your rods are available at the local tackle stores, aren't they?
Yep. Dougie and Kevy have both been great supporters of us for a long time since I pretty much started. I think Kevy was still at Dougie's back in the day. Jeez, we won't bring that up. But yeah, maybe. So yeah, both tackle shops they carry out here. You'll be able to go in there. If they don't have it, they can order it for you.
It's pretty close.
Yeah. So yeah, that's quite a bit. So yeah, obviously there's a big range of rods. So I just wanted to focus on snap fishing tonight. But if you look for a reef series, both in Sultan and Vanquish, the reef series has that soft tip for bait fishing, and it locks up more in the bottom end to fight the fish once it's loaded. Slow pitch, as I said, the rod will literally label it slow pitch. It's designed for jigging. If it says boat, it's generally a fast action rod, so it's either for casting plastics or casting lures or an all-rounder. When you
cover all.
To cover all, as an all-rounder sort of stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of it. Short and sweet, but yeah, hope you took a few things away from it. Obviously, hope the weather improves for this Sunday. Maybe we'll see what happens. Otherwise, it'll be the following week. But yeah, we're also jumping aboard. Obviously, the club's changed it's rejuvenated. I feel, and obviously we're keen to get more involved, which is why we've jumped onto this. We've been supporting the Flathead Classic for 9 or 10 years, I believe. And then as our company's growing up, we obviously do a little bit more as far as the different packages go. So we're now local. Obviously, you'll see me a little bit more. So any questions, you can hit me up or Nathan. And we're obviously the mega giveaway that Atomic's done last month. We said tonight to Mitch that we're going to chuck in for next month. So there's $3,000 worth for. I think it's attendance. Is it? You have to come to the meeting.
Yeah, attendance,
yeah.
As long as you're here, we're in the members' draw. So
yeah. So there's a pretty big bunch. A lot of product we're talking about tonight. You know, you could be in the draw, keep coming to these meetings, and you could be the chance to win a lot of stuff we spoke about tonight. So
Plus more.
There's
plenty more.
Yeah, there's plenty more. Yeah. All good. No worries. I need a beer.
Put your hands together for Josh, Nathan and Kate again, please. That was please support those who support us. As I said, like Kevy's got stock, Dougie's got stock, so stay behind, have a talk to Josh and the team, so much appreciated. Great talk. What's your favourite colour, snapper colour or lure?
Oh, Bill, that's always a winner.
Okay, too easy. So, no, much
Luckily, she didn't
appreciated.
say black. No?
Much appreciated. So, we've got plenty of sponsors here as well. So, we've got Bonds of Pete and all that. Look after Flathead Classic. So, time for MMD as well for the Flathead Classic. So, please support those who support us. So, everyone came for the mega draw and all the raffles and all that.